Alright, folks, Sheepdog Smokey here, and I know I said I wasn't going to post on YouTube anymore, but I have changed my mind. Prerogative of all of us. I will not be posting my class time series here. I will not be posting political here. This is going to be for me and the few geek items that I still have in my life. The biggest of them being Marvel. I have read Marvel comics, DC comics, other comics, for a long time. I didn't read a lot as a kid, but did buy and read a few. Really got into it in late middle school and high school. Stuck with me, and it's. I think it is because I love history and things like that so much. Because comics are a way of passing down history. They are a way of saying things such as political science and social sciences would say. It's a way of speaking about the world around you. Stan Lee famously said the Marvel universe would always be about the world just outside our door. Marvel developed the concept of flawed humanity. Superman, Wonder Woman, all of these amazing characters are the ultimate Boy Scout. You have one, Batman, and Batman really came about after Marvel kind of introduced the idea. Batman is a broken soul. He was broken as a child and used that. And Superman and Wonder Woman begin to change after that as well. But you see Steve Rogers in the first Avenger drinking, trying to get drunk and upset he can't. You see Professor Xavier get angry. You see Wolverine, definitely one of the good guys, but not a hero, an anti-hero. He does the right thing, but he's still a jerk. And this is why I'm coming out tonight with this one. Tonight, tomorrow, whenever it posts. WandaVision. Now, WandaVision is, to me, one of the first truly original things that we've seen in the comic book universe, in the pantheon of nerdiness and comics and so on and so forth. Captain America has been done. Iron Man has been done. Avengers has been done. Black Panther has been around in comics and in cartoons for a long time. Even the idea of the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver have been around for a long time. But the idea behind WandaVision is the newest thing in the MCU. It really didn't even exist until the MCU took off like it did. There became a demand for new ideas. Vision in the print world got his first run, and it was WandaVision. It was Vision and Wanda living in an idyllic scenario, an idyllic area, basically the suburbs, and living a happy life. Victor Shade. They haven't used that yet. Now, this said, spoiler alert. I'm going to spoil the living daylights out of episodes 1 through 5 of WandaVision. You have been warned. I'm going to not apologize. If you watch past this point and you have not watched WandaVision, we have a rule in my office. It's actually a rule that it's been an unspoken rule of my friends and I since forever. Until something hits DVD, we don't intentionally spoil it for anyone. Now, we can unintentionally spoil it 6 weeks after the movie comes out in theaters. So, for example, Endgame came out a little over a year ago. For the first 6 weeks, we didn't speak about it unless we knew for a fact that no one around us didn't want us to. After that, we would kind of try to hedge our bets, but if something got inadvertently spoiled, sorry. Once the DVD's out, all bets are off. WandaVision has not been out that long, so this is your warning to click away, go watch, come back, unless you don't mind spoilers. Now, the theories are flying wildly. One, actually, three have been confirmed. In episodes 1 through 3, though, none of them really were. It was Wanda and Vision. Started off Leave It to Beaver. Actually, started off Father Knows Best, 50s. Then went to Leave It to Beaver, 60s. Then it was in the 70s. And now we're in the 80s. It is basically Wanda projecting what she saw, likely in Sokovia. The old trope of, you're in Bratislava, they're going to get the train next week. Joke from Eurotrip. But TV series like that don't circumnavigate the globe, or didn't until maybe the last year or two, for several years. I know I have talked to people that didn't find out who shot JR until like 15 years after that had aired in the US, because it took that long to air in their country. Now, back then, we didn't have the internet, so it didn't get spoiled. But it's really setting up the characters. You have Wanda, you have Vision, you have Agnes, you have Norm, you have Mr. and Mrs. Hart, and you're setting this up. We have hints that show up. There was a toy helicopter that, while the show was in black and white, the helicopter was in color. At the end of 3, I believe it was 3, it might have been 2, we have someone crawling out of a sewer. And it's a beekeeper. This one stuck in my brain a little bit just because of the fact that I know Disney now owns the entirety of the MCU. Save Spider-Man, they don't own it outright, but Sony's working with them. But they own Fox, meaning they own everything. So I'm racking my brain trying to remember a beekeeper villain. And I'm thinking, maybe it's a nod to Wasp or Ant-Man or something, but Wanda just goes, no, and the entire world resets. Then in episode 4, because at the end of episode 3, Geraldine gets blasted through the barrier that we kind of saw before that with the introduction of Monica Rambeau and Jimmy Woo, and of course, Jimmy finally learning magic. But when Geraldine, or as we know her to be, Monica Rambeau, gets blasted out of the city, we start to see more of the outside world. You have Dr. Darcy, I don't know, Darcy Price, I don't know, Darcy from Thor, is there to help Sword. Now, we know S.H.I.E.L.D. as a series ended a year or so ago. There have been rumors of Sword, Sentient Weapon Observation and Research Division, if I got that right, I'm 80% sure I did, that are monitoring this because no one knows what's going on inside until Rambeau wakes up on the outside after having gone in. And this is where the theories go wild. I've seen Mephisto, I've seen Agatha Harkness, and countless other theories about what's really going on, and I've not seen the one that is sticking in my head. House of M. House of M is basically a mutant doing something instead of letting an altered human do something. You see, in House of M, the government is found to be trying to eliminate mutants. Think 5 years after the events of Days of Future Past. 5 years after the past events of Days of Future Past. Magneto had left, but then uncovers that Nixon's administration and then Carter's after his, Ford's and Carter's after his, are still working on the Sentinels and the other programs to control and get rid of mutants. We know the Maximoffs are actually Magneto's children. How they're going to resolve that with the MCU having them been Sokovian is going to be interesting. But Wanda basically rewrites reality for the planet. Okay? This is power that no one in the MCU except the one above all has. Now, it is always bandied about that Reed Richards' son, Franklin Richards, could do the same, although Reed, being the geek he is, basically developed gauntlets that depower his son until his son can control his ability and has the education and the maturity to know what to do. Wanda never got any of that as a kid. Be it as the abandoned child of Magneto or the orphaned child of Sokovia. She never got any moral and ethical guidance for her powers. Spoilers for Endgame and Infinity War, Vision dying, and she was in love with him. We saw that at the beginning of Infinity War, and then her heartbreak at having to destroy the Mind Stone, only to see Thanos just go, nope, and take it. And Vision goes black and white. That is, I think, a lot of the reason why we had a couple of black and whitish episodes of WandaVision. I do agree with that theory. But she resurrects Vision, takes over a town that we find out does not exist, so she creates the perfect suburban town. And she's controlling people, rewriting their entire lives to be the perfect suburban town. Now, I forget her name, but she was the vengeance demon in Buffy that ended up falling in love with Xander. Plays the perfect blonde hostess in one of the episodes where they're planning the town talent show. People are saying that she's Mephisto. I don't believe it. The townspeople there are going to be townspeople that Wanda has basically hijacked. There is a nod in one of the theories to how Wanda made a deal with Mephisto to have Vision's babies, and then Mephisto takes the children. No, I don't see that happening either. If they're going to do a Mephisto reveal, it's going to be much, much larger than that at the reveal. Mephisto is just too large a villain to get such a small introduction into the MCU. One of the theories, though, that I am unable to really say anything about is Agnes. In the MCU, there is a character, Agatha Harkness, one of the original Salem witches to burn in the Salem witch trials. But she is powerful enough that she doesn't even get a scratch, and she's still alive in the modern era and trains Wanda. Wanda is using what Agatha will call chaos magics. And she trains Wanda in control and everything else. Now we know Wanda doesn't need any training in actual physical control of her powers, but Agatha as a mentor is still an important part of her character arc. Agatha Harkness. Agnes is so far the only person to exhibit a knowledge of the fact that they are in a sitcom created by Wanda without someone else intervening or someone entering it. The only other person who was there at the beginning that has exhibited this is Norm when Vision does something to him, and the Vision resets it so Norm isn't in pain. But Agatha, basically she comes out with it, do you want to start from the top? She knows she's acting. We never see her husband. Agatha Harkness is not married. And she is a very gifted liar. About the only other things of this nature that I could see being a similar reveal would be meeting Madam Web. And we've not gone that far into the multiverse, although Doctor Strange could see us get there with Multiverse of Madness when it launches. But this is House of M, folks. This is not Mephisto or another uber-level villain or demon controlling Wanda. This is Wanda doing this. She has that much power. The Hulk is said to have been able to be strong enough to punch through the wall of reality and enter an alternate universe. Wanda can literally create her own alternate universe from scratch. And this is what she's doing. We got also the nod to the Fox movies at the end of episode 5 with Quicksilver from the X-Men universe showing up. And even Darcy's, she recast Pietro. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., while it was on, worked to tie the movies together, to tie the MCU all together. DC has several universes. They have print, and there are several there. They have TV, live action, like the Arrowverse. They have TV cartoons, although some of those cross over, and they have the movies. But they've acknowledged the multiverse because we got Grant Gustin and Ezra Miller meeting as the Flash in the Arrowverse Crisis on Infinite Earths, even if it was deleted. Marvel has always just had two, print and everything else. So if it's on TV, print, live action, and cartoon. If it's on TV and it's not a cartoon, it's all part of the same thing. We do get the multiverse aspect from Endgame and confirmed with Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange. So this is where I think we're going to get the launch for a lot of Phase 4 and Phase 5. We're going to see things like the multiverse may introduce or reintroduce Garfield or Tobey as Spider-Man. I mean, Tobey would be basically Peter Parker B. If we did Spider-Verse, he would be the older, broken Peter Parker that meets Miles Morales. Andrew Garfield is quite a bit older, but not as old as Tobey Maguire, so that could be another. We could have 3 Peter Parkers interacting. And this is, I think, the initial introduction of that. Wanda has basically done, subconsciously or not, what happened at the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths in the Arrowverse. All of them started to combine. In the Arrowverse, it was just down to one. They're all combined. But in the MCU, we're just seeing little bits enter the main Earth Prime with Quicksilver from the X-Men universe showing up and even being just a touch different than he was in the MCU or in the X-Men franchise. So it's going to be very interesting to see where it goes. I will say this. WandaVision is a lot like S.H.I.E.L.D. was. I don't know how many episodes we're going to get, but it starts off slow. You're going to have to make yourself watch it, but I recommend it. Because when you make yourself watch it, you're going to start catching these tiny little nods. And by episode 4, we're bouncing between Wanda's world and the real world, and we're starting to see that interaction. We're starting to see SWORD really kind of take over as the organization. I really don't know what else to say beyond that. I mean, we know that RDJ's Tony will be reprising his role as Iron Man in the Black Widow movie, which takes place right after Civil War, so long before he's dead or Morgan is even born or he's even married. There are rumors that Chris Evans will return, but Multiverse of Madness, it could be his version of Johnny Storm. Who knows? I do think I remember him saying he will not be playing Captain America again. So it's going to be very interesting. This is Marvel basically saying we're going to be branching further out than we ever have before. Instead of the base stories, Iron Man, Cap, Avengers, Mighty Thor, instead of just the core group, and then occasionally a TV show or movie for Spider-Man or whatever, they're going to start bringing in these other storylines. And they're having some that show up that are brand new. Vision and Wanda having a life is something that has not been done until the MCU took off and they gave Vision his own comic series. So I would highly recommend it. Like I said, first couple 3 episodes, you're going to have to make yourself watch. But it's worth it. Trust me. I don't know. Let me know what you think. This is like anything, like we were doing for a year after Infinity War. This is one of those things where we're going to sit and argue for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, until we finally get to the next reveal. I'm perfectly willing to say I'm most likely wrong about Agatha Harkness. It may just be that Agnes is a mutant or altered human that is a telepath. Who knows? But I'm leaning pretty heavy that that's Agatha. Anyway, let me know what you think. Just remember, be civil. This is a geek-friendly area. This is not political. We're not talking about any politics, anything like that. We're here to talk about WandaVision. As other things come out, I'll put videos out about that. I am not Everything Always a Cosmic Wonder, I know, but I have been reading comics for the better part of 30 plus years. I've seen a lot of stuff in print, a lot of stuff on TV, a lot of stuff in movies. I'm just putting it together the way I see it. Also, remember to like the video, hit subscribe so you're aware of everything. Their videos are going to come fewer and further between for a little while. Who knows, though? I may pick up with a project here and there. But like I said, you're going to need to find me on Rumble for my political stuff. Or even my educational stuff. Till next time, everybody have a wonderful day.